Okay, so welcome back to the Alien Invasion series, in which in this video we are going to create a way to kind of level up the player. And what I mean by that is increasing the speeds and laying the groundwork for increasing the point values of the aliens. So what we're going to do is kind of go into our settings and we're going to break down the settings because right now when we create the settings class, we create all the settings at once. But we're going to kind of break this apart into two different types of settings. One is going to be static, and static meaning only one copy, does not change. So we're going to initialize the game's static settings with the initialization, the init method. And that's just going to include the screen settings, the ship settings, and we're going to make some modifications with that. But to begin with here, we're going to come down here and let us, there we go. Let us decide how fast the game speeds up. So we're just going to create a variable in here, and that's going to be our scale. So we'll call it self.speedup scale. And we're going to set that equal to 1.1. And so just to kind of give you an idea about how this works is if we had our scale at 1, nothing would change. It would always be the same speed forever because we're going to be multiplying it. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. If we made it -2, well, then that's going to make it twice as fast and then twice as fast, which is 4 times, and then 8 times, and 16 times. So we get really fast, really quick. So we're going to use just a small number, and you can play around with that number if you like to see how that all gets created and how it impacts the game. If we're less than 1, it would actually slow down the game. So I think 1.1 kind of makes sense here. And now we're going to also initialize the dynamic settings. Okay, and so we don't have a method here for this yet, but that's what we're about to write. So we're going to have static settings, we're going to have dynamic settings, and when we initialize our settings, we'll create all the statics, that'll be done. But then this call to initialize our dynamic settings will set up all the things that we want to change. So we're going to come down here and we'll start a new definition. And this is going to be the initialize dynamic settings. And I see I have a typo up here. Let's do an underscore. Okay, so we'll define our dynamic settings, which we're calling right above. And this will initialize the settings that change. So what settings would that be? Well, let's take our ship speed, right? Because right now the ship is traveling at 1.5. Let's go ahead and let's bring that down here. And we'll just bring this up a little bit. What else do we need? How about the bullet speed? We'll take the bullet speed and we'll bring that down here. Okay. All right, it doesn't seem to like what we're doing here. Ah, yes. Again, we use the hyphen instead of the underscore. There we go. So defining the initialized dynamic settings, we've got our bullet speed, we have our ship speed. See, what else would we have? We have our alien speed. Let's go ahead and take the alien speed and bring it down. And we'll just add that over. And we'll move our alien stuff up a little bit here. Okay, so we have the speed of the ship, we have the speed of the bullets, we have the speed of the aliens. And we can kind of mess around with those a little bit to see how fast we want those to go. And let's go ahead and talk about our directional stuff. So we can probably bring down the alien settings for the fleet drop speed and the fleet direction. Well, the direction, we'll just have it come down the same amount. There we go. Okay, so we now, anytime we want to start the game, we'll start the static, we will initialize our dynamic, and then anytime we reset, we're eventually going to reinitialize these back to these default values. But we're also going to need a way to modify these values as we go along. So these values will all be changed at some time. The question is, how do we get them back? And that's going to be the resetting. And how do we change them? We're going to change them with a defining the increase speed method. And we're going to send this a self, and let's get in here. We actually have one more. I forgot to put the self into this function. Remember, all definitions need a self, so that's going to cause a problem later if I hadn't fixed it. Okay, so increasing speed. Well, this is just going to increase our speed settings. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do self.ship speed, and we'll do times equals self.speedup scale. And then let's just go ahead and we're going to take these, control copy, and we'll paste it in here, and we'll do times equals for both of these, and both of these will also be multiplied by self speed up scale. So anytime we increase the speed, we're going to increase the ship speed, the bullet speed, and the alien speed all at the same time. And then when do we want to increase the speed? I think we can increase the speed anytime we destroy all of the aliens. So if we go back to alien invasion, we're checking for bullet collisions, right? Checking for bullet alien collisions. And within here, we're saying if there's not any aliens left, we're going to empty the bullets, we're going to create a new fleet. And at this time, we should also go ahead and increase the speed. So now when we shoot and destroy all the aliens, we're going to recreate new aliens, and we're going to make them a little faster this time. So now that we're increasing speed, the speed is going to be going faster and faster and faster. When we restart the game, when maybe we lose and we want to start playing again, we want everything to go back to normal. And so we need to evaluate when we check the play button. I believe that's up here. So here we go. Up here around the top, we defined our check play button. And we're checking that if the button is clicked and it's not active, we want to restart the game. But before we restart the game, we are going to reset let us reset the game speed and the game settings. And we're going to do that with self.settings.initialize dynamic settings. So this just takes all those settings that we had created in the dynamic settings, which we've changed over the time by playing the game. When we click on the play button, all those settings get reinitialized and set back to the original positions. All right, so that is how we have enabled our game to change over time, making our aliens faster, our ship faster, and our bullets faster. And if you could play around, if you wanted to think of different ways that this might be able to be adapted or changed to make some interesting gameplays, this could be a way to kind of lead you in a new direction. So think about that, have some fun with it. You don't have to do anything extra, but hopefully this showed you a way that you could do something different if you'd liked. See you in the next video.